everyone. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the various child tax credits and how they phase out as your child grows. I'm also going to briefly touch upon the 2021 child tax credit advances, but I'm not going to dive too deep into those to save time for this video. If this is your first time reaching my YouTube page, welcome. My name is Tasha, but on YouTube, I'm known as Entrepreneur Help Desk. You can find my other social media links in my description box. I am a business consultant and a tax strategist to middle and high income entrepreneurs around the United States, and I use my channel to help others learn about taxes and entrepreneurship, so please be sure to subscribe. This video is for informational purposes only, and you should seek the advice of your own professional. This child tax credit topic affects entrepreneurs with children as well as non-entrepreneurs, so that's why I decided to do this video. Okay, so since many of you have already began receiving the monthly payments, let me talk about that really quick. The extra $1,000 or the extra $1,600 of child tax credit payments that you're receiving are an advance on the 2021 child tax credit. This means that this additional money will not apply in tax year 2022 unless Congress passes more tax laws. Okay, so normally the child tax credit is $2,000 for qualified taxpayers who have an adjusted gross income of less than $200,000 for single or less than $400,000 if you're married filing joint. And if you're not sure of what your adjusted gross income is, also known as your AGI, I highly suggest that you watch my video on how to read your Form 1040, which I will include the link in the description box. Okay, now, so Congress approved an extra $1,000 to taxpayers with children between 6 and 17, and then extra $1,600 with if you have children under age 6. Okay, the maximum income limits for this additional money has a separate criteria when it comes to these AGIs. All right, so like now for this part, I'm only referring to the increases. Okay, now when it comes to the increase, okay, it works where your AGI cannot be over $75,000 if you're single. Okay, for the additional $1,000 or $1,600. And if you're married filing joint, first, head of household, it can't be over $125. And if you're married filing joint, it cannot be over $150. Okay? If it is, then it will begin to phase out. All right? I don't have the amount dollar for dollar, but basically if you exceed these AGIs, the additional money that you're entitled to based on how old your children are will determine how far over your income exceeds these thresholds. But if you're under, you're fine. Okay? Now, some taxpayers are actually opting out of the advances. Okay? And let me tell you why. So first, one reason is that some people just prefer to receive their full refund at the time of filing their taxes so they don't want the advances right now. Okay, that's usually the case because these advances, I'm sure all of you have realized by now, that's what happened with the stimulus money. No, you weren't taxed for the stimulus money, but they weren't going to give it to you twice. So I'm sure all of you have seen when you received your refunds this year, for example, let's say the not referring to the last $1,400 they gave us, I'm referring only to that very first stimulus money they sent out, the $1,200, and then they gave $500 per additional child on the return under age 17. And then the second time around, they gave $600 per each person on the return. But those were part of like this year's refund. Okay, so I'm sure you all already had saw that if you notice your refund was lower, that was why, because they advanced you some of that. So that's the same case scenario with these child tax advances. Okay, these do affect next year's refund. Okay, so that's why some people are opting out, because They just rather have the full refund at the time of tax time. Okay, another reason is that if after this year finishes and your income kicks you out of qualifying, you could actually wind up owing back some of this money. All right. So this could potentially happen because the IRS is going off of your numbers from 2020. And once you file 2021, like when this year is finished and next tax season, we're filing 2021. If you don't qualify, okay, some people are going to have to deal with having to, pay back these child care advances. So that's why some people are opting out. Speaking of opting out, you can actually opt out at any time, and this is taken care of through your online account with the IRS. So even if you've already received like July's payment, as an example, and August payment is about to be here in a few days, for the September payment, you actually still have time to opt out. Okay, and I believe that you have to do that within 3 days of the first Thursday of the month. Okay, so let's say if you want to opt out coming September, you would need to, whatever that first Thursday in September is, you would need to opt out no later than 3 days before. Okay, and you can also do it in October. You can do it at any point. All right, so now I'm gonna move on to explaining other child-related credits that phase out as your child grows. Okay. So now if you use child care, all right, you more than likely qualify for a credit called dependent care credit. But this credit ends once your child turns age 13, unless they're permanently disabled. Then you can still continue getting the credit. Okay. But yeah, once your child turns 13, you're no longer eligible for the dependent care credit. And in most cases, you probably don't even need the child care after your child turns 13. So hopefully you're saving some money there. All right. Over the years of serving my clients, many people would ask me things like, oh, last year my refund was this amount. Why is it different? And I had to explain things like, well, your son turned 13 last year, so you're no longer eligible for the dependent care credit. Okay, this is why I try to explain to everyone that it's not really a good idea to compare year by year and expect that your refund amounts should be similar. Different circumstances can bring a different result on the taxes. Okay, now the basic child tax credit that I just went over in my other slides is a credit that ends once your child reaches age 17. This child tax credit is the base $2,000 that I was speaking about when I was discussing the advances currently going on. Okay, regardless of the excess advance, not really talking about that. So regardless of the excess advance, what I'm trying to say is whether this advance was in place or not, the bottom line is that this credit ends once your child reaches age 17. Okay. Now, depending on your income, even a self-employed person, you might qualify for earned income tax credit. But this credit ends once your child reaches age 19. Unless your son or daughter is a full-time student, then in that case, the EIC is still good through age 24. All right. So I hope you use this video to learn about the age triggers that can cause you to no longer be qualified for certain credits when it comes to your children. And you may want to do things like adjust your withholdings with your payroll department you work for. If you also still work a job, okay, if you're fully self-employed or you make estimated tax payments, you may want to make some adjustments there. All right. You may want to adjust how much you're sending. Okay. So these steps are what help you to be more proactive with your taxes and not reactive and get tax surprises. Okay, so if you found value in my video, please be sure to click the like button so that YouTube can show it to others who are searching for this kind of information. Maybe even send it to a friend. And if you need business guidance or business consultation or tax consultation, I do offer fee-based business consultations by phone and video, and you can email me for more info. My email will be in the description box. Oh, and I'm also going to leave a link in the description box about how to prepare what you need in case the IRS tries to deny you the child credits that you're entitled for. Okay? So I thank you for watching. Take care and see you in the next video.